We discussed about calendar in the last session. We have seen how to create the calendar in the system. So what are the inputs we have to provide? What does it mean by adjusting period? And based on what parameters we have to create the calendar? These are the points we discussed. And we have seen system generated all the periods based on the inputs which we provided. So that's all about accounting calendar we call. So we just covered date part. If accounting calendar is ready in the system, okay, we'll be able to capture the date. And again, the date will belongs to specific period. You'll be able to produce the reports, okay, based on the period or date range. We'll see all those going forward. Okay, fine. So that's all about a date. Then let's talk about amount. So when you talk about amount, what are the amount we are going to enter in the transaction, we should address that amount is belongs to which currency. Okay, we have to address the amount, whatever you are entering, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 1 lakh. Those figures we have to specify with the currency. So when you talk about currencies, we no need to create the currencies in the system. All the currencies Oracle is providing, now you can say currencies information we are getting as a seeded data. All the currencies information we are getting from the Oracle as a seeded data. We no need to define any currencies in the system, but still we have a provision to create the currencies, but we don't create, not required. So Oracle is providing all the currencies. Say you are running the business in US, and primarily you will be using the currency called as USD. Okay, primarily you will be using currency called as USD. When you run the business within the the USD is the local currency. So that currency we call as functional currency. The country local currency for every country. For every country, whatever the currency they have within the country, that we call as functional currency. Functional currency, nothing but local currency. Okay, the local currency we are calling as functional currency. You are running the business in US, but you are dealing with the suppliers and customers in the different countries. Other than your local currency, other than your functional currency, any currency you call as foreign currency. When you run the business in US, if you have a suppliers and customers in India, you have to deal with those suppliers and customers. So you may get invoices or you may send invoices to India suppliers and customers. So then INR you have to treat as foreign currency. INR you have to treat as foreign currency. The country local currency is functional. Other than functional, all our currencies are foreign. If we take example of India, you are operating the business in India, and India currency we call as functional currency. INR we call as functional since we are operating the business in India. Other than INR, all currencies we treat as a foreign currencies. For India, USD is the foreign. For US, INR is the foreign. Apart from these functional and foreign currencies, there is one currency called as stat currency. Stat is nothing but statistical. From statistical, they take a prefix stat, we are calling as currency. Reality, this is not currency, but in our application, the naming convention Oracle given as a currency. So stat means you may enter any other measurements apart from monetary measurements. Rupees, dollars, these all are monetary measurements. There are many non-monetary measurements. Kilograms, liters, meters, square feet. These all are non-monetary measurements. Such kind of measurements you can call as stat currency. Okay, I will enter 50. The 50 may be kilograms. So this is not a currency related value, but this is a value, 50 kilograms. The 50 kilograms I will be calling as stat currency. Means this is statistical information. Okay, kilograms, meters, liters. This all we call as our score. Apart from money related measurements, any sort of measurements you have all comes under stat. If at all you are going to enter such kind of information in the system, you have to treat that information is related to stat currency.
Yeah,
So,
Lakshman, can we include crypto in this, like stat, like for example, for instance?
sorry?
For instance, can we include crypto in this stat, cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, you can create, yes. So crypto is kind of monetary, it got monetary value, right? Okay.
Okay.
That you don't treat as a stat because it's if something doesn't have any monetary value directly, so then that we call a stat. So crypto is not a stat. Crypto like
Okay.
it is normal currency. If
Mhm.
some country adapted crypto like then you may treat
Uh-huh.
as a functional.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, you may treat always
Because
as monetary.
some businesses accept cryptos, right? That is the reason I'm asking. Like,
Correct,
okay,
correct.
got
That's
it.
what. But that is it has a monetary value, right? Okay, there is a monetary measurement for that, right? So that is the reason that is not stat, which is
Got it. Got it.
okay.
Actually.
Yeah, fine. So that is all about the story of currency, which you have to understand. When you record the transactions in the different currencies, we set the conversion rates. So you are recording the transactions in India. So, but you are dealing with the supplier who is located in US. So now we have to transact with the different currencies. So their conversion rates will come into the picture that we will see when we are working on the system in terms of transaction creation. For now, we are trying to understand so how to deal with the currency part. Okay, when we talk about currency, the currency can be functional or foreign, or it could be stat currency. Functional means
Ashwan,
local
one
currency.
question.
Yep.
Why it is actually not a currency, right? Currency has a monetary value. This is only the units. Why can measuring units or something we call it as, right? Or
Measuring
statistical
not.
units.
No, no, no. Monetary measurement.
So kg is actually not at all a value. For example, it has 1 kg is some amount causing 1,000 rupees. Then it is 50,000 something like that. It comes.
Oh no, no. That is it. Direct. Yeah, I can understand your point, but it doesn't
Mm,
have direct monetary value. It has indirect monetary value.
mm,
Yep. So if something is direct monetary value, then only that is treated as a
mm.
currency.
Yeah, the other gentleman what was asking cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency we can consider as statistical currency, right? One cryptocurrency, for example, if you have one unit of cryptocurrency, it can be 2,000 rupees or
Yeah.
50
In the
US
same
dollars as
way,
a.
one
Uh,
USD equal to 80
uh,
rupees, right?
uh,
It is currency. That is, I'm
yes,
not.
correct.
I'm saying it is not stat.
Mm,
Yeah. It has a conversion.
okay.
So that comes under currency, not a stat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it is. Fine. So that's how it is. Fine. Now, local currency we are calling as functional, other than local or are foreign. If any measurement we have which is not related to monetary measurements that we are calling as stat currency, reality it is not at all currency as per our application that is designed as a currency. That's it. Now we'll go, and another important point is we no need to create any currencies. All currencies Oracle is providing, and the same we will use. And if you want to use any currency, you have to make sure that the currency is enabled in the system. Okay, what we have to do, whatever the currencies we are going to use, it could be functional or foreign, we have to enable it. If it is enabled in the system, our environment, that would be available to use. Apart from that, the conversion. If you are dealing with the different currencies, you are operating the business in India, your base currencies, INR, you are just dealing with the different countries, suppliers and customers. So to manage that exchange rates and all. So we have to do the additional setup that we will do as a part of transaction creation. Now we'll quickly jump into the instance and we'll see where you can find the currencies. Okay. So what are the all seeded values Oracle is providing? Just let's look into that. So we no need to create. Okay. We no need to create. Only one thing we have to check whether the currency is enabled or not. If it is enabled, then you can use. If it is not enabled, it won't be available to use. So click on username, setup and maintenance. Hope you are taking all the navigations. Here, make sure financials is in the selected scope all the time and search for currencies or say manage currencies. 99% tasks starts with the manage. Prefix would be manage for 99%. For few tasks, it may start with a specifier, etc. etc. Yeah, 99% tasks what we are performing starts with the manage. So both are same. Okay, you can click on any one of the tasks. Both will navigate us to same page. Click on manage currencies. Click on the same manage currencies. So from this page, you can see any currency enabled or disabled. I want to check USD. So this is a currency which Oracle is providing. Currency code is USD. Currency name is US dollar. Description is US dollar. And currency is enabled. We no need to give start and end dates. By default, if it is enabled, that is more than enough. If you want to use this currency in the system for certain period only, you may specify this currency should be available for us to use only in this month. Ideally, there won't be any such kind of business requirements. You don't need to set start date, end date. Make sure it is enabled. Somebody created this currency for their practice purpose. Okay, somebody created this for their practice purpose. So the currency which Oracle is providing, you cannot delete it. You see this delete function is disabled. Okay, selected record. The delete function is disabled. I will select USD1 and I'll be able to delete. You can create currency. You can give, click on plus icon, say there is a new currency called as ERP, and you can just, okay, you can just give the name, currency name. So that's how you can define the currency. Now this currency belongs to which country, that you have to provide. Click on expand. You have to select the currencies belongs to which country. Okay, and you can give the currency symbol, precision, etc. So that's how we can create the new currency. Ideally, you no need to create all the currencies Oracle is providing. If you expand this record, you can see. So the symbol, everything they given. You no need to touch anything here. Just you have to make sure the currency is enabled in your environment so that that would be available to use when you do the further configuration setups, or it could be processed. If you want to see all the currencies, just click on search. You will be able to see all the currencies which are available, more than 200 plus currencies available in this environment. All the currencies for all the countries, the currency information is available. Okay, say you are implementing for one client who is operating business in US. Along with USD, you may enable 5 more or 10 more currencies. They may have a suppliers and customers in other countries. That is the reason you enable those currencies as a foreign. When you look at the currency, you don't understand whether that is a functional currency or foreign currency. Okay, so based on the operations where you are doing, you will come to know which is your functional and foreign. There is no label for any currency as this is a functional, this is a foreign. If you are running business in India, yes, you have to treat INR as a functional and rest of currencies as USD. And when you do few other setups also, you will understand, okay, we can designate which currency as a or functional currency also. Foreign could be anything. So that's how it is. Fine. So that's all about the currency part, what we have to understand. Okay, we are clear about date and amount. Date we can derive based on the calendar. Amount we can specify with the currency. Any questions here, please?
Lakshman.
Lakshman, sorry, please go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Lakshman, how about the exchange rates? Like,
Exchange rates we have to create. We have to create. We will create when we perform the transactions.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are going to perform the transactions with which foreign currency? Okay.
That will be covered,
we'll
right?
set
Like
up
the
the
exchange
rates.
rates, how we do it, like how we tag it, like it will be
We'll
covered.
see
right?
that. That's what we'll see when we do that, right?
Sure. Okay. Lakshman.
That now we can do that. It is a learning only, but this is not the right time. Now we'll set up where you can see the impact, right?
Okay, got it.
That is the reason I'm not touching. So when it is very relevant, we will set up so that you can see immediately the results also. Now we'll set, we cannot record any transaction now because we are not ready with the setups. Yeah. We'll
So
do that.
next question
Everything
is-
we are going to cover. Everything we are going to cover. So we'll create foreign currency transactions and payables, receivables and GL. Different applications will create the foreign currency transaction. We have to set the rates. The rates we have to set through spreadsheet. If you want to set rates through spreadsheet, again you have to download some add-on and you have to install. You have to set the Excel options. It's again another big story. Yeah.
And what about the reporting currency? Is foreign functional currency is fine? Can we consider foreign currency as reporting currency?
Yeah, always
But-
other currency would be reporting. So you are running the business in India. If you are if you want to report the same business transactions to US, that means we are going to report in USD.
Okay. And as you mentioned, the exchange rates, you need to download, add-on, and upload through
We
the
have to set
Excel.
up, yes, we have to create the exchange rates in the system before you perform the foreign currency transactions.
Yeah, generally monthly exchange rates, there is some site I heard.
No. Don't worry about all those. Okay. When we do in the system, I'll explain that. Okay. Reality, what we do. Some clients will use within the system if they have very minimal foreign currency transactions. They can manage within this system itself. Some clients, what they do is, who are dealing with many foreign currency transactions, they use different third-party services. Most of the clients will use FX loader.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so that's what, see, we'll go as per relevance. Okay.
Yeah.
Currency
That's
means
fine.
we are not closing currency today. We started.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
Your
in that
questions
case,
are valid. Your questions
Yeah,
are
yes.
valid. Other these will be just drilling down to somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay.
I prepared how it should be, when, what should pop up. So we will see so that it would be a smooth transition for everyone. Yep. Fine.
The question I had only.
Lakshman, I have one question.
Yep.
Yeah, yesterday when we were discussing about calendar, what we need to do when business needs to have one adjusting period for every month?
Not required. There is no such kind of business need. You see, every month end they can record the adjustments. They can categorize those transactions as adjustments as per GL. We'll see that. You never
But,
see. You never see. Never happen.
Now, for his requirement, yes, we have the option to create a custom adjustment calendars. If you want 12 calendars.
No, one second. See, we don't have such kind of functionality. When you say custom and all, it will create all the periods end of the year. Okay. End of the year it will create, and you can go and set dates as per your requirement.
Correct.
Quarterly means it will create quarter-wise because they given that provision, right? The value they given.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what if a customer required a monthly basis?
So yeah, monthly.
Yeah, but what I say for that solution is this: you are going to use the adjustment.
One second, Vicky. Yeah, let me. Okay, fine. In that case, you can give custom. You can select and enter 12 periods. Okay.
Okay.
Enter 12 periods.
one second. Can
This
you?
is just for your understanding only. We are
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
reality.
we are.
We never come across. Okay, see here. You select other.
Okay.
You enter 12. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah,
That's
it
good.
will create 12 periods, and which period, like each period you can align with one accounting period, date, etc. That's how you can manually you can set those.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is what I was trying to convey.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. That's really good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
fine. But always remember, you never come across with that. Generally, year-end, very big clients, large volume of the. I have seen only in one client case they use quarterly adjustment period because they have 400 entities. 400 entities they have. Very big client, very big client. So they used quarterly adjustment period. Rest of almost all the clients, whatever I have seen, year end they will have one. That's it. Most of the clients. Yeah, done. Okay, so that's all about date and amount. Any questions, please? Now let's talk about description. When you record any transaction, we have to capture the description of the transaction, the details of the transaction. How the details can be captured? If you want to capture the details within the system, do we need to predefine those details? Let's talk about those. Okay.
Currencies can be enabled anytime, right?
Anytime you can enable, yes. Anytime. Anytime you can enable, anytime you can disable. Okay, fine. So details of transaction. Okay, details of transaction. When you talk about details of the transaction, you have to capture the complete information which is required as per our reporting requirements. When you talk about details of transaction, this always we have to target as per our reporting requirements. Okay, whenever you record the transaction, within the transaction, along with the currency and amount, what are the details you are capturing as a description, that should meet your reporting requirements. Always you capture transaction details based on your reporting requirements. When you say reporting requirements, those could be internal reporting or external reporting. Okay, internal reporting or external reporting, maybe managerial reporting, or else you have to submit to the government, or you want to submit to stakeholders, etc. So it could be any reason, like any aspect to meet your reporting requirements. You should be able to capture the data how really you require. A simple point you can take, the transaction details what we capture, that is always based on your reporting requirements. Fine. How that can be managed in the system? Say whenever you record the transaction, say you want to capture company details. Okay, you have to capture the company details, which company the transaction belongs to. And same time, you want to capture the department also. You want to capture which department. You have say 4 companies and you have multiple departments. If you are capturing with so and so company, so if that is expense, that is expense belongs to which department you cannot track. That is reason within that company, what are the departments you have, which department is doing that activity, that also you have to capture. Now yes, you have company, so and so company, and you have so and so department. Fine. This company and department, exactly what activity they are doing, that activity you can just capture as account. Okay, the activity, they are purchasing the laptop, that is account. Laptop purchases account. They are selling the laptop, that is another account. Okay, that those are the 2 different activities. Selling laptop is one activity, buying laptop is another activity. So buying the furniture is an activity, selling furniture is another activity. Every activity, every action which you take, which should be accountable, that you have to maintain as an account. Okay, So you take these details as a very critical when you record the transaction. Okay. So typically these are the key information. Apart from this, what else we captured for reality, those points also we'll discuss very soon. But for now, you take these points into consideration. Whenever you create the transaction, typically we have to capture the transactions belongs to which company, within the company, which department, and what exact activity you are doing, that you have to represent in the system as a account. Now, so whenever you record the transaction, you are not going to write the company name, you are not going to write the department name, you are not going to write account name. What we do is all the companies, all the departments accounts, we list out first. We predefine. One time we set up and will keep ready. Whenever we perform the business transaction, you can select appropriate company, department, account. That's how quickly you can record the business transactions. So what we have to do in the system, we have to list out all your company's departments accounts. So you can take, for example, so company one, you take as a, that is a company code, or else I'll give the code as a 10. You can give 1, 2, 3, or 10, 20, 30, 40, or you can give 100, 200, 300, the company code. Okay, for every company you have to give one code, or else let's take one. So the company name is ADP, okay, software services. ADP software services. That is one of the company name. The same way, what are the different companies we have, all you can list out here. What are the different companies we have, list out all. And second one is ADP software development. And third entity could be ADP consulting services. So this is how you have to list out. When we are working for any company client, you have to list out what are the different entities they have. First we have to list out. Okay, for our discussion, we'll take these three companies and you have to list out all the departments also. Say finance department, 2 is HR department, 3 is sales department, 4 marketing department. This is how you can list out a number of departments what they have in their business. And list out accounts. Very primarily, they have to pay the salaries to the employees. Salaries account, and maybe the bank accounts, whatever they have. So you can say JP Morgan account, some account number you can give. So bank account information and other expense, say admin expense. So travel expense. So and so sales what you are doing. You may create like revenue from consulting services. That is one of the account. So this is how you can list out all the accounts as activities what you are doing in your company. So company, department, account. Why we are maintaining these details? These details are very much critical for the company to produce the reports. As per their reporting requirements, every report what they are producing, they want to produce company wise and if required, department wise also. Mostly companies will use the department primarily to track the expense. Okay, to track the expenses. So department is the key element, and to find out profitabilities and all, mostly they use the company as a measurement and what activities they are doing to analyze, to track, to understand more detail level, we use the account. So company to find out the kind of profitabilities and all, and department to track your expenses. Sometimes some companies will try to can use this department to track profits also. Okay, ideally the department is treated as a cost center. Okay, where you are incurring the cost. You'll be aligning that cost tracking with your departments only. And account is the activity what you are doing in as a day-to-day activities as per your business. So apart from these, you can capture few other details also that we will discuss very soon, but those are not that much critical. This information is very, very important for any company. Any company you are going to implement Fusion application, very, very primarily they use these details as a part of reporting requirements. Now, so we are talking about few companies, few departments, few accounts. These all companies, departments, accounts should belongs to so and so organization. So for all these, what we did is for all these companies, we given the title as a company. For all these departments, we given the title as a department. For all accounts, we given title as account. For all this complete data, for this entire data, you may give the title here. This complete information belongs to say ADP group or ADP corporation. ADP the corporation. So here, if you look at this information, we are maintaining with some sort of hierarchy. So ADP corporation is standing as a head. Under that, you have a company's departments accounts. Under company title label, you have a list of companies. Under department label, you have a list of departments. Under account label, you have a list of accounts. So this follows some hierarchy if you understand here. Top level, under that, these labels, under labels, relevant information. So this is how you have to arrange the data in our system in Oracle Fusion applications so that whenever you are going to record the transaction, it would be very quick and easy to record the business transaction. Let's take simple example. The consulting services is spending some expense. Those are related to travel. Okay. And again, so there is another department called as projects. Okay. Projects is say another department, for example. Now the consulting services, okay, they are just spending some expense, travel expense, and belongs to that department they are treating as a project. Now, the business users can record the transaction or Fusion applications simply by giving consulting services means 3. Okay, 3. And projects means 5. So to keep separation between the company and the department, we can use the dot. 3.5. 5 means department, projects department. And what they are doing, they are just spending some travel expense. Say 4. Okay, 4. 3, 5, 4. Okay, 3, 5, 4. So each number what we are giving, which is representing company, department, account, these we call as codes. Company code, department code, account code. Now, when you look at this 3.5.4, you can understand 3 means we have some description for that company code, consulting. 5 means projects department. 4 means travel expense. This, as per our application, we call as code combination. This we call as code combination, CC, code combinations. When business users are going to record the transaction, we have to keep this data available as it is so that when they are recording any transaction, they can pick company code, department code, account code. By combining all these codes, they can create the code combination. In short, we call as CC, code combination. So this we can call as code combination kind of ID also. So this is what we treat within our system. Now, since this is spreadsheet, it is facilitating to put data anywhere, any sort of arrangement. So since this, we are using spreadsheet application now. We are using an application called as spreadsheet. Within the spreadsheet, it got a lot of flexibility. So you can just write the text, you can just insert some images, right? You can insert any images and any activity you can do. It is very flexible. The same I cannot do in the notepad. The spreadsheet got the flexibility, okay, to arrange the data like with the pictures or only raw data or it kind of any kind of arrangement, or it can be process flow diagram, or it kind of any some pictorial representation. Everything is possible. So one of the option is you can just keep the raw data like with this kind of arrangement. So similar to that, what we have in our Fusion applications. Okay, we are using the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is very flexible to maintain the data like this kind of arrangement. This is the top level. Under this, we have these sections. Okay, this is how I'm segregating the data. Based on the segregation, I'll be maintaining the relevant data. Or else under that, if I want to establish another hierarchy, also I can do that because spreadsheet has that capabilities to maintain the data in what fashion you require. So in the similar way, we have to maintain the data in our Fusion applications also. Okay, in the similar fashion, you have to maintain the data within the application. So to maintain the data within the Fusion application, what we have? Okay, what we have. So to maintain the data as it is in the Fusion applications, we have one component or one feature called as flex field. Okay, so spreadsheet is very flexible. Okay, it got flexibility to arrange the data. In the same way, if you want to arrange the data in the Fusion application, we need that flexibility. That flexibility you can get with the concept called as flex field. There are flex fields concept. Flex fields are very much flexible to maintain the data, kind of same similar hierarchy. Okay, same similar hierarchy. So now we need the flexibility for what purpose? What company wants to do is they want to manage this information, okay, and they want to produce the reports. If they want to produce the reports, they want to do the accounting. What does it mean by accounting? If you are not aware, we will do that and we will understand. So first, business will record the transaction, they will account it, then they will produce the reports. That is the process. Record, account, generate reports. So this data, what purpose they require to produce the reports? If they want to produce the reports, they have to account. So for the data, what they are going to maintain, that based on the data they are going to account in the system. That is reason the flex field what Oracle is providing that we call as accounting flex field. Okay, that future what Oracle is providing that we call as accounting flex field. Again, this data is what kind of data for the company? Very important. Since it's very important, that data you can call as key data. Very important, mandatory data. In every transaction, they want to capture company, department, account. This is kind of very key, important data. Since Oracle is giving the flexible environment to capture the data which is required for their accounting purpose and reporting purpose. And since that is very important data, the name also they are giving as this is not just optional data, it is very key data. So with that sense, they are giving one function, one feature within Fusion application called as accounting key flex field. There is one feature called as accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field will allow us to arrange the data as it is within the system environment, still in the better way. So by using accounting key flex field, this is how you can maintain the data in the system in our Fusion applications. So we are using the spreadsheet and it got a lot of flexibility to arrange the data here. And spreadsheet is part of Microsoft application. Okay, MS Office applications. In the same way, where we have this accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field we have in the general ledger application. By using the spreadsheet, one of the application, okay, MS Excel application, we are able to arrange the data here now. In the same way, the similar manner, if you want to maintain the data within the Fusion applications, which application we have to use? We have to use the general ledger application. GL, short name is GL. By using the general ledger application, okay, you can arrange for that. Within the general ledger application, what we have? We have accounting key flex fill. Within the general ledger application, we have accounting key flex fill. By using accounting key flex fill, you can arrange the data as it is. Now let's relate to the data what we have with accounting key flex fill. The title what you see here, the same title you can create in the accounting key flex fill, and that we call as chart of account structure name. For this entire organization, this is the name, like this is a kind of headquarters or corporate, kind of parent you can call. So everything is structured under this. This is sitting at top level. Everything you will be aligning under that. That is the reason it is following some sort of structure, some sort of hierarchy. The same if you are creating similar information within the system, and if you are just giving this title in the system environment, that we call as chart of account structure name. Means the organization name you are giving in the system as a chart of account structure. What is a chart of account structure here? Yes. So this information similar to some chart. Okay. Chart of accounts. Is it related to only accounts? No. This is chart for accounts, no doubt in that. But this is chart. This is a list of companies, list of departments also. So out of all these, what activity you are doing is very, very important. Along with that, which department is doing, which company is involving also very much important. But this all cannot be included in the kind of naming convention. That is the reason out of all these details, which is a very, very critical account. That is the reason they are giving the name as chart of accounts. So you can list out all your accounts, not only your accounts. You can list out your companies, you can list out your departments. That sense we should get. Okay, they are not giving like a chart of everything. They are giving chart of accounts means along with accounts you'll have a company and departments. They are just representing this is chart which talks about your accounts and departments, companies, etc., etc. So chart of accounts, again it is structured. There will be some top level. Under that there will be some kind of data segmentation. Under that you'll have a different information. So that's how that is structured for everything. For the list of companies, department accounts which are well structured, there is a name for it. So this information, if you are going to maintain in the system, that we call as chart of account structure. Ideally, this ADP corporation, the banner name, company name, when you are writing in the system, simply you call as chart of account structure name. Okay, so this is the point you have to understand, and few other points also we will correlate. Few points also will correlate. Just 1 second, please. Okay, so what we are what we are trying to align here for this entire data is belongs to which organization. That organization name we are giving here in the Excel. The same if you are going to create in the system, that you will be creating within the accounting key flex field. Okay, within the accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, this name you will give. Okay, with the naming convention called a chart of accounts. There is a concept called a chart of accounts. With the chart of accounts, you will provide this name. This name in the system you will enter as a chart of account structure name. Now, as per our spreadsheet, we have a titles: company, department, account. These three, as per system, we call as segments. Segments. So, as per system, the terminology is: this is the company segment, this is the department segment, this is the account segment. These titles, these labels only helping us to segregate the data. Since the titles are segregating the data, the titles are helping us to segment the data. Those we call as segments. As per our application, these titles we call as segments. Is if those titles are not there, we cannot understand what data is that. Okay, the titles are helping us to segment. separate the data. That is the reason we call it segments. So this title we are calling a chart of account structure or chart of account structure name. Under that, whatever we have titles, those we are calling as our Fusion application as a segments. So when you now we can see we have a 3 segments as per our example. Okay, how many segments we can create and all we'll discuss after some time. For now, the point is let's try to understand what is segment. The data segregation title only you are calling a segment. If you are calling this is a company, this is a company information. If you are calling this as a company segment, this is company segment related data. As per system, under segment, whatever the information you maintain, that we call as segment values. So this is a company segment. These all we call as company segment values. This is a department segment. These all we call as department segment values. This is the account segment. These all we call as account segment values. So segment and segment values. So in the system, in our application, we have to create the chart of account structure name, nothing but this name. And we have to create all these segments. And we have to maintain all this data in the system that we call as segment values. Okay. For each segment, under each segment, you have to maintain the segment values. Now, since it is a spreadsheet, yes, I can simply, okay, I can simply arrange the data in any cell under anything. But within the system, exactly not possible. I have a segment called as company. Under that, I have a company segment values. As per our system, under segment, you cannot maintain the segment values. You cannot maintain segment values directly. What you have to do is, if you have a company segment, for company segment, you have to create company value set. Within this value set, you have to maintain all these companies. It means under segment, directly you cannot maintain any segment company. Under segment, you cannot maintain any segment values. So you have a company segment, you have a few companies. Those all companies you cannot maintain under company segment as per system. You have to create one component called as company value set. Value set is nothing but container for the information. In the company value set, you list out all the companies what we have. So this all belongs to which segment? This segment. Now what we have to do is you have to assign. Okay. You have to assign. Okay. You have to assign this company value set to company segment. Done. Now you cannot maintain all your departments. Okay. You cannot maintain all your departments under department segment. What you have to do? You have to create department value set. Okay, set of values. Value set means set of values which contains the values. Could be company, department, account. We'll create
Each segment,
department.
one question, each
No,
segment
no.
values are, and value set is the same or different?
Value set and
Segment values.
both are different, right? Okay. In value set, you will have a segment values. Right? Yeah, let me complete. Still few points are there. Okay.
Okay.
I'll stop. From my side, definitely I'll stop and I'll request for the questions. Yeah. So maybe what you are asking, I'm going to cover. That's how it would be in the most of the cases. Fine. So department. Okay. I cannot maintain all the departments under department segment as a department segment values. As per system, I should create department value set. Okay. One component. Department value set. Inside of the department value set, I will list out all my departments. Now, the department value set, I will assign to department segment. Okay, I will assign to department segment. And under account segment, we cannot maintain the accounts directly as per system. So all the accounts you have to maintain within the account value set. So maintain all the accounts in the account value set. This value set you have to assign to account segment. Now, when user is going to record the transaction, they will have access to company segment. The company is already mapped to this company value set. Through this value set, this company segment can have access to all the companies. When you are recording the transactions, if you want to capture the department information, so department is already mapped with the department value set. So this department segment can have access to all the departments through this value set. So that's how we have to set up in the system. So directly under segments, you cannot maintain the segment values. Segment values you have to maintain within the value sets. So it means, so you'll have a segments, okay, you'll have a segments under each segment. For each segment, you'll have a segment value sets. Okay, so you'll have a okay, just 1 second, please. Okay, so for each segment, we have to maintain the segment values. Can we maintain the segment values directly under segment? No, not possible. If you want to maintain segment values for any segment, we have to use value set concept. With the help of value set, you can list out and maintain the values. Those value sets can be associated with the respective segment so that that segment can have access to relevant data. So within the general ledger application, we have accounting key flex field, one of the feature. By using accounting key flex field, we can create this title as a chart of account structure name, and these titles as a segments. And for each segment, we have to maintain the separate value set. Reason values are different. So we have to create the value sets. For each segment, separate value set we have to create. By using the value sets, you can maintain the values or call as segment values. Those all for segment purpose. We have to create the segment values. So this is what we have to understand. Okay, this is what we have to understand. We have a general ledger application. Within that accounting key flex field we have. Within the accounting key flex field, we have a chart of account structure. You can call a chart of account structure name, or simply you can say chart of account structure. Okay, when you say chart of accounts, in short, we call a COA. COA, chart of accounts, chart of account structure. Within the chart of account structure, we'll have a segments like these titles, and for every segment, we'll have a separate value set. With the help of value sets, you can maintain the segment values. The same you can use when you are recording the transactions. So within this, the rest, what else we have to understand, anyway, we will discuss. Apart from that, whatever we discussed within the scope of discussion, any questions, please?
I have a question, Lakshman sir. Yeah, left side you've shown the ADP got 3 companies, and above that you created the ADP Corporation as a parent company. Okay, but suppose in only single company is there. In that case also we have to create 2. One is
Correct,
parent,
correct.
one is company.
Correct. Yes, exactly. There should be some title. There should be some head.
Okay.
It would be same in that case.
Yeah. Another question is right side you mentioned general ledger, flexi field, then chart of accounts. Oracle will provide the standard chart of accounts. Apart from that, we have to create a structure.
No. Oracle never provide any chart of accounts. Always chart of accounts we have to create based on the company reporting requirements.
Okay. While creating, we have to follow any standard norms.
Correct. There are a few things which we call as best practices. Those we have to follow.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll come across all those. Okay, now just I'm trying to introduce. Yeah. Fine. Any other questions here, please?
So, as you mentioned, company value sets and segment values. I see that segment value.
Company segment value set, not segments value sets and segment values.
Yes, correct.
Company is
So,
one of the segment. Yeah.
under one segment, can we have multiple value segments?
Multiple
value segments or only one value
There is
segment?
nothing like value segment. Okay.
Mhm.
See,
Uh-huh.
this is a
Sorry,
segment.
value sets, value sets. Sorry,
No,
value
no,
sets.
only one. For one
Only one
segment,
value.
only one value set.
Yeah, so 1-to-1 value set.
Yeah.
Segment, one value set.
One value set, multiple values.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Any other questions here, please? Okay, no questions. Now, so
Why, one question, why we see, is it some kind of, if you have the segment, why don't we create value sets directly underneath it? And why we need the value set? It's, I feel it is like kind of repetitive information, even though you have company, under that you are listing all the companies. Why I need to use the term value set and so on? Is it
okay.
for,
yeah. So that will give you a lot of flexibility. That will give you some sort of flexibility where you can set what kind of values you can maintain in this, whether you can maintain only numbers or text or something else. There is a lot of flexibility. For that reason, we have to use the value set.
okay.
Yeah, when you create, we'll understand. For example, so I'm using one of the segment called as for example, we don't really use like that. For our understanding, I'm telling that possibility also there in the system. One of the segment name is time. Okay. I'll create one value set called as time value set, right? When I create the time value set, I can set condition at value set level. Within this, only time allowed. That's it.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
Now the same you cannot set at a segment level.
correct. Okay.
Or else what I will do is I have all the companies somewhere created already in the system. Take example. Okay. Now I don't want to create all these. These all companies are stored in some table. So company value set level, I can say take companies from so and so table. That's it. I can set.
Okay.
How you are getting that flexibility? Because of value set.
Value, that means value set defines the properties, how value should be defined.
It defines the rules. What
rules.
kind of data you are going to maintain within that value set. Correct. You said
Okay.
exactly. Yes, it defines the properties of the values which you are going to maintain within that value set.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, fine. So these are the points we have to understand now. So within this accounting flex field, you can create the chart of account structure. When you create the chart of account structure, within that we can create the segments. Now the question is, when you create the chart of accounts for any company, as per our system, I'm not talking about as per company, as per the client. As per our system, so minimum how many segments we should have? When you create, 1 second, I'm not asking anyone, please. If already discussed, if I ask the question, my request is please answer. Chart of accounts. When you create the chart of account structure in the system, okay, so minimum how many segments are mandatory? 2 segments. 2 segments. What are those? Company and account. Very important, these two. You may want to capture the department, may not want to capture the department, but in every transaction, it should related to some company. The transaction should be aligned with the company as well as account. So when you create the chart of accounts in the system, so minimum you have to create 2 segments. Okay, minimum 2 segments. So those are company and account. Going forward slightly, the naming convention, different naming convention also applicable. By the time you'll understand few other points, then we'll be able to align the naming convention. For now, company and account only, you make a note. Okay, when you create the chart of accounts, minimum 2 segments are mandatory in every chart of accounts. Those 2 segments are company and account. So max, how many segments you can have in the chart of accounts? Max you can create 30 segments. Okay, what is the maximum speed in the car? It may be 300, 400, 500. But who is driving with that speed? No one. As a capacity they are giving. The same way Oracle also giving the capacity, okay, or capability as a 30 segments, but no client is using, really not required. Okay, that is just the capability they are giving. So reality, when we do the implementations, okay, the real implementations within the chart of accounts, how many segments we create? Okay, as per reporting requirements of the client company, the real implementation, how many segments we create? In some implementations, we create 7 segments. In some implementations, we create 8 segments. In some implementations, maybe 9, and the rare cases, maybe 10. We don't go generally beyond 10. Reason, there is no need to go n number of segments, because every application has a greater capability of capturing the data within that application. Whatever you are taking something as a segments in the chart of accounts, that we are going to use across all the applications. It would be more clear going forward. Simple point you take here. So when you create the chart of accounts in the system, minimum 2 segments are mandatory. In every chart of accounts, 2 segments are mandatory. What are those? Company and account. Company and account segments are mandatory. But when you look at the capability of the chart of accounts, you can go max 30 segments. In the real world, you see always 7, 8, 9, 10. Typically, what segments you see in the most of the implementations? Okay, the most of the implementations you see, you'll have a company. Naming convention can be different. Those also we'll discuss later. Okay, ideally it should be company. Then you'll have a department, or you can call it cost center. What are the alternative naming conventions? I'll discuss later, because there are a few other points. Once we complete those, then we can align better properly. So for now, you take this data: company, department, account. These are mostly by default. Anyway, company, department are mandatory. Company, account are mandatory. Department, typically in every implementation chart of account, we use that segment as a department, or you may name it as a cost center, nothing but your department or division. Now, so most of the companies you see, there will be internal transactions. There will be internal transactions. You take this example: 3 companies, or say 3 entities we have. So there will be some internal transactions. Software services, the intent of that company is to provide the services. And software development, the intent is developing the product. And consulting, again, providing consulting services. But sometimes the ADP consulting services may take the services from software services also. Or the software development entity may take some kind of services from software services or consulting services. There could be kind of support within the organization. We are not going to deal with the supplier or customer who is sitting outside of our organization. So within the organization, within the entity, within the enterprise, between the 3 entities, there could be some transaction, like one may just give some services to other may take services, or else one entity may sell the services to another entity. So this is also pretty much common. So to capture such kind of transactions means internal transactions. These are not external. External means you'll be dealing with your supplier or customer. Those are external transactions. There's external parties. With external parties means suppliers and customers, banks are external parties. When you have some transaction with the external parties, yes, that is a real business transaction. But when you are going to record the transaction in the system in your books, which are between your entities only, that is not real business transaction. That is like kind of supporting each other or some kind of adjustment on the accounting, reporting, etc. So if you have such kind of internal transactions, not with the suppliers and the customer, with other entities, those if you want to track very detailed level, if you want to produce the reports, so in the entire year or in the entire month, okay, what services the company one provided to company two, or company two taken the services from company three, or company three provided which services to company one. If you want to produce the detailed reporting, the detailed tracking is required in the system. For that, we use one segment called as intercompany segment. If you don't have any internal transaction between the entities, that's fine. Don't create any segment as intercompany in the chart of accounts. As per your business, okay, you may have a transaction between the entities. There definitely you have to create the segment called as intercompany. Most of the businesses you will come across with this use case, they will have this kind of requirement. So we have to create one segment called as intercompany. These are very pretty common segments we use in the most of the implementations. Okay, naming convention could be different sometimes, that also we'll discuss, but this is what really we use. Apart from this, okay, in future the company may need few additional segments, but those cannot be accommodated in the future whenever the need arises. Whatever the chart of accounts we are creating in our GL application by using accounting key flex field, as we discussed. Okay, whatever the chart of account structure we are creating by using accounting key flex field in GL, this is a one-time decision. Okay, this is a one-time decision. Okay, this is a one-time decision and one-time definition. You cannot go and add new segments, additional segments, because this chart of accounts has capability of creating up to 30 segments. Yes, it has a capability, but you have to take one-time decision and you have to finalize it. Now, if I create 4 segments in future, I may come up with a requirement called as I want to capture the location where the transaction is taking place. I cannot do that. Once we create the chart of accounts and start using, system won't allow you to add any segments. For that reason, as a consultant, we always recommend to the businesses maintain buffer segments, maintain future segments. Generally, we recommend 2 segments. Say future 1, future 2. The naming convention you can give anything. You can say buffer 1, buffer 2, or default 1, default 2, or future 1, future 2, or so like MT1 and MT2. Any naming convention you can use. So we have to create some room space within the chart of accounts for future purpose. In future, why? Why they may need? Because they may expand their business. There could be business expansion, and there could be kind of some joint venture with another companies. They may join with some other companies to operate their business, or else this company may acquire another companies. So based on those requirements, you may need additional segments as per your reporting requirement. You may have to capture some other critical data also, which need to be included in your reporting point of view. In that case, if you don't have any additional segments in your chart of accounts as a buffer segments, so in future it is not possible to accommodate new segments in the chart of accounts. That is the reason always we recommend the client to have at least 2, if not 2, at least 1. Generally we recommend 2. Some client says we don't need anything. In that case, we suggest them there is no harm if you are going to have, if you are not interested to have, at least have one more future segment, at least one segment that can help you. It may not be immediately down the line. In the long run, definitely the requirement will pop up. They'll find okay, this is what we are not able to do, that is not what we are not able to do. If you want to accommodate such kind of tracking, yes, the buffer segments what we are creating, that they can replace. So we have to recommend. It's not like they will ask. As a consultant, our consultant job is giving advice. Okay. So based on the application, based on the best practices, we have to advise the client. So final decision is client will take. We should be there to provide consulting service, means kind of advisory services, what best, how best you can use this application, what functionality we have, how it works. So if they are choosing something, how it is going to be in future, it can be changed, or what is the flexibility we have. All these points we have to tell to the client. So we have to advise the client to use the future segments. And apart from this, the rest of 1 or 2 segments based on their industry they will choose. Okay. So if they are into something like a healthcare industry, okay, they may have one segment called as something specialist. Or if they are into some manufacturing and all, they may have some segment called as process line. If they are into service industry, they may have a segment called as service line or service type, etc. The 1 or 2 segments they will choose as per their business. What other details, these are pretty common information what we listed now as a segments. Any business, yes, they have to track the transactions company wise. Any business they operate with diversified departments, they have to capture the department. And any department they do certain activities as a part of business that need to be captured as account. In most of the businesses, there will be internal transaction between the entities, if not entities, worst case between the branches. So that need to be captured with intercompany segment. And every company, the objective is they want to grow and all in the future, and again it would be long run. To meet such kind of future reporting requirements, we always recommend 2 future segments. If not 2, if they are not accepting 2, at least we'll recommend 1. So most every chart of account, ideally you see future segments. So because in future we cannot add anything, okay, one time. And apart from these 1 or 2 segments, they will choose based on their industry. Okay, based on their industry, they choose. Say for example, client is doing some business, and sometimes they capture some transactions related to projects. If they are using the PPM applications, that's okay, well and good. They are not using the PPM, project portfolio management application, but they are doing some sort of small size projects. In transactions, whenever you record, they want to record the transactions belongs to which project. Then you can have a segment called as project. Okay. You can have a sorry, you can have a segment called as project. And they are into service industry, they may have a segment called as service line. Now, this is how system went live. They started using. After 1 year, they came up with a requirement. Hey, just we want to capture the location also. When it's a project, the project related services we may provide in the different location, or else whenever we do some sort of business activities, so our company could be in one locations, the business transactions, the activities which we do, it could be different location. We want to capture location where that transaction took place, okay, where that service is provided, etc. In that case, you can convert future 1 to location. That's it. Location or area or zone, etc. How the naming convention they required, you can convert. Again in the future, so they may ask, okay, they may ask like they need one more segment. They may need one more segment, that may be product. Now, what are the scope for buffer closed? Now they need one more segment. No scope, not possible at all. Okay. So that is the reason always we keep buffer segments, okay, as a future 1 and future 2. So that any sort of future requirements, reporting requirements, what data they have to capture in each and every transaction, or in the most of the transaction, those you can maintain as a segments in the chart of accounts. Whatever you are taking into chart of account segment, these data you should have a plan to capture across the applications. It is not limited to one application. Company, in any application, you have to capture the company. In any application, the transaction belongs to which department. In any application, what activity they are doing. Apart from that, so the service line also, since they are into service industry, services they are providing, so they want to capture, they may have a classification of services, so the grouping of services, or else they may ask us to have a LOB, line of business, log, line of businesses. So they are into different line of businesses. Maybe these are the three entities in the software services. Okay, they have a variety of services. Those they maintain within this segment. Okay, whenever they record the transaction, they select company as ADP software services here, and within that say they have a 5 type of services. So that service, exact service they will select in the LOB segment, LOB, line of business. Okay, within this entity, they may have a number of businesses, a number of kind of services. They may treat as a LOB, line of businesses. So this is how, when you talk to the client, they'll say it's very easy for us. We have to look at present when they are recording the transaction, what is the critical data they are capturing as per reporting requirements we have to see. By default, you can offer, you can advise to have these as a segments. If they says no, we never perform any transactions between the entities, then you can eliminate this intercompany segment. But most of the businesses these days, so definitely you come across, if some company is going with Oracle Fusion ERP implementation, then you can understand whether they are small or big. Okay, so even very small, generally they may not do, like a medium and large organization definitely, but most of the companies may, most of the implementation definitely you come across, there will be need of performing the intercompany transactions between the companies. Whatever the transactions takes place, those we call as intercompany transaction. Means company one is selling to company three, that we call as intercompany transaction. If you want to capture intercompany transaction more detailed level, you have to maintain the segment called as intercompany. Now, if company one is selling to company two, here we take the company one, in intercompany we take company three, and here in the account we will provide what services they are providing, what services they are selling or purchasing. So that's how we'll be recording the transaction. When you start recording the transaction, it will be more clear. Now, these are the few points which you have to understand when you talk about chart of accounts. Okay. So when you talk about chart of accounts, okay, the structure of chart of accounts will have a segments. Within the segments, we'll have value sets. Within the value sets, we'll maintain the values. And chart of account structure you can create within the accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field is part of general ledger application. When you create the chart of accounts, so minimum 2 segments are mandatory. Typically those are company and account. Max you can go up to 30 segments, but reality not required. So most of the implementations we create in between 7 to 10 or 8 to 10 you can say. So we no need to create more than 10. So these are the most of the companies. These would be kind of mostly very common segments which we use. So apart from these, okay, by default company and account is mandatory, already discussed. Apart from, generally you see department also, they want to capture the transactions, and if they have internal transaction, intercompany is required. Then future one, future two, always we recommend and we define, if not two, at least one. And rest of 1 or 2 segments, client will ask, we will ask them, hey, apart from this, what data you want to capture, which is very critical for you to produce your reports, that initially you have to capture. If you want to capture that element, you have to maintain in the chart of accounts as one of the segment, then you can capture, then you'll be able to produce the reports. That's how you can bring the capability. We just explain to the client, then they'll come up 1 or 2 segments what else they need, and then we'll finalize. Or else we explain to the client like this, how I explained to you now. In the same way, they will understand, oh, this is how chart of account works, this is the meaning of chart of accounts. Then they'll come up, okay, we need so and so segments, they says, we will create in the system. Okay, it could be any version of dealing with the client. So we educate the client, what does it mean by chart of accounts? we educate the client whatever you maintain in the chart of accounts as segments. By using that, you can maintain the relevant information. By using that data, you can record the transactions. Then with that data only, you can produce the reports. This is what we have to tell. Once they just get some mindfulness, then they can come back to us saying that, yeah, this is what we need, that's what we don't need. So that's how chart of accounts can be finalized in the projects. Okay. So we have to introduce what does it mean by chart of accounts. They will understand and we suggest. They come up with some changes, and again you may recommend this is okay, not okay, etc., etc. The client may says, hey, just we want to capture supplier. Okay, so we want to capture supplier information in the chart of accounts. They may say we want to capture supplier data. Then as a consultant, we say you no need to maintain all your suppliers in the chart of accounts. Anyway, suppliers information you are going to maintain in your purchasing and payables application. Whenever you record the transaction, the payables and purchasing, it's pretty much possible. You can select the invoice you received from which supplier, invoice related payment you are going to process to which supplier. That you don't need to bring into the chart of accounts. Okay, the chart of accounts, whatever the data you are maintaining, it should be useful in the most of the application. If you maintain the supplier information, supplier as one of the segment in the chart of account, you cannot capture more information. Hardly you can give the supplier name. But when you talk about supplier, you have to give the name, you have to give the address, and you have to set up a lot of information related to supplier profile. Those all you cannot accommodate. First of all, there is no need. Supplier data you can capture when you are recording the supplier related transactions in the respective application. So that's how we have to educate the client. That means supplier information is a supplier. We never create segment like supplier until unless they have some exceptional use cases. So this is what we have to understand when we talk about chart of accounts. Okay, there are a few more other points, but those we cannot discuss now. There is one concept called as enterprise structure. First, we'll complete that enterprise structure understanding so that I will come up with what are the best practices we have to follow when we create the chart of accounts for any client, and some sort of mapping you can understand. And here I'll introduce some alternative naming conventions also. What are the different naming conventions different client can ask or use, or they just go with the kind of use, I mean, as per their current system or as per their reporting requirements or as per the naming convention, what already they are using internally. Those all points we'll discuss. Okay. So I'm closing the chart of accounts related theoretical understanding part here. Later I'll open after creating the chart of account in the system, after discussing about the enterprise concept. For now, this is a kind of, we are limiting the chart of account understanding here. But there are few more points which we call as best practices. If you want to understand best practices, you have to understand about enterprise structure, etc. A few other relevant data also. Then it makes more sense for us to understand additional points. So if you have any questions on these
Yes,
points, please.
yes, sir. I think this chart of accounts, whatever segments, what company department, can we enable and disable in between the periods, or how it is? Once if you create it, you have to use it. How it is?
Yeah, you can, multiple options you have. You can make
Okay.
that segment as a optional. When user is going to enter the data, you can make it as optional, but that is not recommended. What we do is, since we have a segment, you can set, so all the time for LOB, it has to take some dummy value. It will fill automatic. Now you don't need to enter. Generally, that's how we maintain. So you don't want to use some segment. Now you started chart of account like this, and going in the future, you just made a plan. No, no, no. There is no need of tracking the transaction. Each transaction belongs to which LOB. So there, we even internally we don't have such kind of reporting. That time we had a reporting. Now we don't need. But disabling it is not recommended. You can keep as it is. You don't no need to enter any data. Okay, you may enter some default information in the chart of account level. Not applicable means it will take the data as a not applicable. Some default data or else a
Okay.
dummy value you can keep zero. Yep,
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
that's how we go. So, disabling is possible, but it is not at all recommended.
Can we do disabling? We won't do disable, right? Once we create a chart of accounts,
Yes.
for every chart field, we need to select and then only select or by
No,
default.
you are referring PeopleSoft. You don't call here a chat field. If you say chat field, others will start thinking where these two guys discuss this point.
Yeah. My means you, yeah, what is that value?
As per PeopleSoft chat field you call, here you call a chart of accounts.
Chart of account. The chart of account values should be selected and then only you can post, right? If you disable.
Correct. Exactly. Values mandatory. What I
Yeah.
am suggesting here is instead of disabling this LOB, you create one value, dummy value. Set
Correct.
as default. Whenever user is going to record the transaction, they no need to select any value for LOB. You are hard coding one value. Always it has to take 0000 or 0 or not applicable. That's it.
We cannot disable in the middle once implemented, right?
We
Then
can
if this is
disable. We can disable.
okay.
Yeah. But not
Can we
recommended.
rename,
That's what.
Lakshman, can we rename it in the middle of the accounting
Sorry?
period? Can we rename the chart of accounts?
Okay, see, renaming chart of account generally you never come across with any kind of requirements because you are creating for one company and you are going to use for the same company. When you are creating these names in the system, there are multiple fields which we touch. Okay, there will be chart of account structure code, there will be chart of account structure name. Name you can change, but code you cannot change. In the same way, when you create this in the system, segment code we create, segment name we create. Segment code you cannot change, you can change the name. Apart from that, there will be one field called as prompt. How you want to display the segment name to business users. Segment name is company, but I want to display to the business users as a branch. Yes, I can give that. Okay. So it is not mandatory how to change. Why you want to change? You want to display how you want to display. In that case, you can use another field called as prompt. Even your segment name is company, it will display to the business users as a branch because everybody knows as everything as a branch in the business. So that's how you can change. Some sort of information, partially you can change. Some codes you cannot change, system will freeze it. Names you can change, but the name is reflecting wherever is required or not, you have to see. If it is reflecting directly wherever required, okay. Or else you have to change the prompt. That's how it is. We'll see that in the system when we are creating, I'll touch base those points.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially, while implementation, if we define the future one and future two, so after 5 years, if I want to rename that future one to
No, always we
organization,
rename. That's what that same
okay.
example I took here. So in the
Okay.
future, after down the line, let's say 5 years, you need new segment called as location. This segment name you are going to change to location. That's what we are renaming.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what will be the value of the future one for initially if I
Dummy
define
value.
dummy value? Okay.
Yeah. Because we don't know, right, in future how it is going to turn into, right?
Okay.
We'll put some dummy value. We call as generally default. Or
Okay.
we can put value called as not applicable. So like future one also will create the value set. Okay.
Okay.
Future one also will create
Lakshman,
the there.
just a small.
One second. We'll put the value as a like this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
This is
Okay.
how it will be.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was saying when we will get these classes as a recording sessions.
Sorry.
When we will get this live classes as a recording sessions.
Process recording. The guys who subscribed already, just for them, I shared previous batch videos. And
Okay.
for all the videos today, I'm going to share. I'll keep in the Google Drive. Who already
Got it.
subscribed this program, I'll
Yeah.
be sharing today.
Yeah. Thanks. Sir.
Yeah.
One question.
Another point, 1 second, since we talked about it. Okay, you will get access to this, all this, whatever the sessions are completed. Going forward also, once we complete the session on the same day, like I'll be placing that recorded video in the same Google Drive. You don't get
Okay.
separate email. And within the same Google Drive, you'll have all the videos. Along with that, I'll create one subfolder called as instance details. So anytime, any instance you are using, so refer that folder. Within that folder, always you will find updated instance details. If any instance is going to be replaced, we'll update there. If you find one instance, if you are using, if it is not working, you don't expect again the same should work and all. The credentials might have changed, or else instance we may change sometimes based on what we get from the respective source. So always you just look at a folder which would be available in the Google Drive for these videos. The name would be instances. Instances, within that you find always latest information. Yeah, that is
How often these instances change? I mean, the
sorry.
link. How often these instances change? The link.
It instance URL. It depends. Like, see, these are like training practice instances. It's applicable across the globe. Everywhere has to follow that. Some instances will be for 1 week, or some instances 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sometimes within the week itself they change the instance. But no worries in terms of your practice. Even you are quite busy or not getting time, and you cannot keep doing the setups when instance get changed. We have some alternative options how that can be managed. We have a different options. I'll talk about going forward. Now these are initial classes. Now you can keep going with the standard approach. If instance is fleshed out, you do your setups from beginning, and going forward when you start doing heavy lifting, means doing more setup, many setups, etc. Definitely I'll come up with that approach how you can make your life easy in terms of dealing with these instances.
Got it.
Sir, instances you have already shared. Actually, I tried to create a user and try to assign the roles. In test environment, I'm able to do it, but other instances, I'm not.
Ignore those non-reference. First one only use it.
First one, actually, in that instance sheet, there is multiple, around 8 to 9 instances was there. I have received.
First instance means there will be number, right? Whatever I am using, that is the first instance. See, you have a notepad in the folder,
Yes.
right?
Yes, yes.
The first instance you can see as a dev 13. This is the one. First instance I am referring. Yeah?
Yes.
So I'm also using the same.
Yeah, but in that I'm not able to create. I mean, I can create the user, but while trying to give the roles, I'm not getting that option in under tools like the security console option.
Why you don't get? What user you are using?
I tried to create with DJB user.
DJB user means is your own user. I given the user like Fusion.
Yes, yes, you have
U1,
given.
U2, right? Log
Yes.
in with that, and you will be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, not with other user. Other user, you may not have privileges, right? We don't know about that user.
Okay.
So you log into the instance, whatever the username I provided, and
Okay.
follow the process what we tried in our previous classes.
Okay. Yeah.
Follow the same process, you will be able to do it. Still
Yeah.
any challenges? We'll see. Right.
Sure. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks. We're done for today. I'm sorry I didn't look at the time. So we're done for. We'll make sure we'll just wind up as per the schedule only instead of running.
One question,
over time.
At segment values, how many minimum, how many maximum we can create?
Values unlimited.
Unlimited. Okay.
Unlimited values.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back. We'll discuss. Yeah. Thank you all. Yeah, please.
Yeah, now this is the structure. So after that, after 1 year, 2 years, after that, they're saying that location is required. So
Correct.
we can change the feature one to location, but to that location, they want to, after the department, company wise, department wise, then location wise, that is possible?
No. See, by moving this location next to that, they are not going to achieve anything. Okay. There is no filter between these. Okay. Just you have to follow, because when you create the chart of accounts, will give the sequence number. That same number you have to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
If in the middle future, they want
No, I got it. We will give the fixed sequence. It is you should not change the sequences, because data would be existed and all, you should not change. So it has to follow the same sequence. What are the sequence you define?
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Any other questions, please?
So for example, feature 1, feature 2, we give an option for feature utilization. If feature 1 and feature 2 are utilized, then if we want additional feature, then we need to go redesign of the ERP application, right?
Yeah,
And
there will be a separate project which need to be executed as a chart of accounts redesign, which required a lot of efforts. which may
Yes,
take
correct.
6 months or 1 year, depending on the size of the client.
Yeah. So we can just export and import these segments and segment values and add additional feature 1, feature 2 if needed, and migrate the data as well, right? Is it
Correct,
easy?
correct. Yes. Again, almost more or less the solution, everything would be available in the system. You are going to redesign. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
I am not from ERP background, but we use the data from ERP, and yeah. So PeopleSoft, I do not know. Only we take the financial data, and that's why I was asking few questions which may not be relevant, but people will be discussing that this
No,
also.
no, your all questions are very valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Fine. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. If no questions, we can wind up for today. We'll catch up. Not tomorrow, right? Monday. Yeah. So we'll connect on Monday. Thank you all.